Jonathan, you've been involved in this project forever, as Aldo has. Why is this, as a former school committee member, so important to you?
We have a long-range education plan that was a long-range education plan, I believe, landed with the school committee around 2004.
Yeah.
And it was in response to the town meeting making it clear we were not going to be using Middle School East. There were two proposals at the time. Middle School East was not part of the future of the Milford Public School System, and it was determined that the 8th grade standalone school was not ideal.
Okay.
Also, a true middle school model does not include 5th grade, which is an elementary school grade. So you have 5th graders in a middle school environment. I remember the first time my oldest child came home from Station Middle School and told me he was not allowed to run at recess. It just made no sense at all. It's an elementary school. Kids in 5th grade should be able to run at recess.
Yeah. Well, they used to block off Winter Street, too, for the recess. Yeah.
Right.
This is something that this building going to last for...
Well, the state expects a life expectancy of at least 40 years.
Okay.
And the way this building is designed, we should get 40 years with little or no difficulty. And one of the things that is nice about the building is it's going to be it's going to be as green as we can make this building. So our cost for operations of the larger facility project by our designers to be less costly than what we're spending now to operate the building that's presently on site. Because let's remember that we have the benefit of energy efficient motors in all of our systems.
Yep.
We have the lighting system, the ventilation system, the heating system, and the construction of the 3 levels allows you to stack your utilities, so it's less costly to build it that way, and you get that natural insulation barrier with the three stories on that building. So we fully expect, we will know definitively within probably 4 to 6 weeks when they do the energy audit on the building, but we fully expect that the cost of operation will certainly not exceed the cost of operation of the existing smaller building.
Okay, because I was going to ask, that was the next question I was going to ask Marc. If you figured in the operational expenses, I have a 4-room house and I move up to an 8-room, it's going to cost me more to heat, light, etc., but that may not be the case in this.
No. We've left that to the building committee to determine and the school department to manage. They are responsible for all their own utilities. We've, over the last couple of years, increased the utility costs in all of the buildings and all of the budgets. So they'll be able to absorb if there is any increase.
Are there some things in this project that are not state reimbursable?
Oh, absolutely.
Such as?
Well, first and foremost, the difference between what they authorize for construction costs, $275 a square foot, and what it actually comes in. And there are various things that they pretty much let you do what you're going to do, but however, we have the artificial field on.
Right. The only things that I can think of that would not be what I would consider an absolutely standard item. There were 3 originally. There are now 2. One of them is the entire building will be air conditioned. We spent a lot of time visiting other schools.
It should be, though, right?
Well,
yeah.
It allows for a lot more flexibility. There's a lot of summer programs that can be moved to this facility. But we spent a lot of time, visited several schools that had different types of HVAC systems, interviewed the people that worked in those buildings, and air conditioning was the way to go. The second item that still remains is to replace the existing field, which will have a school on it, with an artificial turf field, both from a school perspective and a community perspective. From a school perspective, while the construction is going on, there will be no field for approximately 2 years. If you do a grass field, there's another 2-year window there while you're waiting for it to go through several growing seasons before you can use it. Mm-hmm. So it made sense from all perspectives to do an artificial turf field.
Similar to the high school?
Exactly.
That's a beautiful area.
Same system, same sort of system. Although there's no plans to light that field.
Yeah.
In the final non-standard item, if you will, has been stricken from the record, and that was a standing seam metal pitched roof. And that went away around the time that there was resistance from the neighbors as far as the height of the building is concerned. So we took a building that to the ridge was approximately 70 feet tall, and it's now got a nominal height of 42 feet, which is actually 12 feet lower than the height of Stacy Middle School.
And pretty much all the schools we have are in residential areas.
The majority of them are, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
One of the things, if I may, one of the things too, Jonathan mentioned that in order to lower the height of the building, because we did take seriously the comments of the folks that were out there, and we took seriously the comments with regards to the 100-foot setback and made modifications in the location of the building so that there'll be no infringement on the 100-foot setback. So that was taken care of. But Jonathan tells you about the building, and there was a lot of discussion on the roof. I mean, a good deal of discussion. And I think had it been a different situation from the height versus the cost, we may not have changed it. But we're trying to refine the numbers at some point in time, and there was a cost savings by removing the proposed pitched roof, so that we could bring the numbers of the project into line with what the town was going to be able to handle.
We're going to have a forum on Wednesday of next week to discuss all aspects of this. Who's going to attend, Aldo?
Jonathan will be here. I'll be here. The superintendent of schools will be here. He'll certainly have greater insights into the long-range educational plan. And our design team, people from our design team will be here, our project manager, possibly our construction manager, and, of course, our architects will be here.
I guess the final question goes to Marc. You've thoroughly, as you've said this morning, looked through this financial aspects of this. Tell residents and town meeting members something about this project and about the finances, the affordability, etc.
We just went through how we can afford it. What I want to talk about next is what the balance sheet looks like.
Okay.
We projected a balance sheet for the next 20 years. And on that balance sheet, and we kept state aid even, no growth, okay?
Probably a good move, right?
Yeah, well, again, being conservative.
Yeah.
We've also projected new growth to be very low at 400,000, and last year it was over 850. So
if you project 2% state aid, you project new growth at $1 million, and you get $2 million, and you get 4% state aid.
We end up with extra money.
Okay.
It's called levy capacity. But if you look on the right-hand side of the budget, under the expense side of the balance sheet, on the bottom, we've included $1 million to stabilization every year. Now, obviously, if we can't afford to put the $1 million in, we'll put less, but we guarantee half $1 million.
Yep.
We are putting $1 million away for capital projects. And we have a long-term capital subcommittee that meets with all the department heads every couple of months and goes over the 5-year and 10-year plan.
Yep, they just had a new report out within a week.
Exactly. So we know exactly what's going to be put on the warrant in the fall, and we know how we're going to pay for it. We only allow enough to pay, enough on the warrant to pay that we can afford to pay. And we also have a levy capacity of about $1.4 million, which means we return to the tax rate about $1 million a year.
That was my next question.
On an average. And we've been doing that for the last 3 or 4 years, and we're planning on continuing to do that over the next 10 or 15 years. Again, please understand, all things being equal. In other words, if the state continues to fund us the way they've been funding us, or better, the revenues on the revenue side continue to be what they are today, parking, taxes, personal property taxes, etc. People buy new cars, we get more money. Occupancy tax, we raised the occupancy tax rate 2 years ago, and we're seeing an extra $250,000, which is what we projected back then.
Kind of like free money.
Basically, it was money we were leaving on the table, which we didn't have to leave on the table, and it didn't impact the residents at all. So if you look at the balance sheet, and again, I can show you balance sheets for the next 10 years with the same numbers in it, projecting a 2% growth in expenses, all right, we're in good condition. The downside to all of this is that and I hate to say this, but if we continue to negotiate contracts at a high rate, those numbers cross between revenue and expenses. So next year, fiscal 15, what we're recommending to the department heads, or we will be recommending after we get this approved next week at the FinCom meeting, is a 0% increase in expenses. And expenses are only 15% of the budget.
Yeah.
And contractual obligations and salaries, which means the average will be about little over 2% increase in most people's budgets. Some of the departments will be 2.5%. And we'll deal with all of that. It's not a problem.
All your members have reviewed this?
No, the executive committee went over this Wednesday night. We've approved it. This is a recommendation to the FinCom on this coming Wednesday night.
So in detail, this will be gone over at that meeting?
Yep.
Yeah. And then you can move on to town meeting. You'll have a presentation before town meeting, obviously?
Yep. Basically, we'll be going over the same thing.
Okay. Gentlemen, thank you very much.
Thank you, Ed.
Thank you, Ed.
We look forward to having you here next Wednesday morning at 8 o'clock for that forum with everybody. Thank you very much.